It took me a long time in life to realize that happiness was never a destination to be reached. I think it was idealistic thinking to believe that there would be a point in time where you would find everlasting contentment. But the truth about happiness is that it's an emotion, and like all emotions, it fluctuates. It comes and goes just like the weather. When happiness is there, it's bliss, but it's temporal. Inevitably is going to go away for a while. Then sadness awaits and you're pretty miserable, but this too is an emotion, so it's temporal. Then happiness comes again, then sadness comes again. It's a constant cycle, and that's life. I was actually thinking about this recently, and something came to mind that I've grown up with my entire life, but I don't believe I've truly understood before. That is the Islamic teachings of Sabr, meaning patience, and Shukr, meaning gratitude. So these terms didn't really mean much to me growing up. I didn't really understand why there was so much emphasis on it in our religion. But when you start to understand the temporal nature of emotions, I think the framework of Sabr and Shukr are fundamental for us to maintain balance within ourselves. When happiness disappears, misery can overwhelm us. And it is at this point that we're supposed to cultivate sabr. A very difficult thing to learn, especially for someone like me, who is very impatient. But to cultivate sabr, as I am learning when I go through difficulties, is the essence of building your character. As difficult as it is, when we are able to cultivate patience in the face of misfortune, which is inevitable in all our lives, then it keeps us from descending into chaos. Misfortune will continue to affect us throughout our lives, far into the future. So sabr, I believe, is a very important trait to practice so we can become stronger. Now, on the other hand, when happiness arrives, it's bliss, and this is where we should remember to do shukr, because nothing lasts. The happiness that we feel is temporal too, but this doesn't mean we should be miserable of its temporal nature. It only makes it more precious. Realizing that it won't last, we need to learn to embrace this state and give gratitude that contentment is here. Shukr allows us not to take this contentment for granted, and it helps us realize that not many others might be as lucky as we are to have this contentment. Life is a constant fluctuation of emotions and events. We never know where it leads, but I think these concepts in Islam of sabr and shukr provide a very valuable framework to approaching our internal and external states. In hard times we do sabr and remember that these difficulties won't last, and in good times we do shukr and remember that these times are precious. I'm learning to practice sabr and shukr in my life, and I do struggle with it quite a lot. It's not an easy thing to practice. Some days I do feel a lot more impatient and ungrateful, but like I mentioned, it is a constant practice. It's not something you can just learn about and master. I think something that can help is to gain a perspective of your situation, whatever it is to you. We all have our unique situations, but when we can look to others who are struggling far more than us and are still able to stay strong, I mean, that's a different kind of power. People going through unbelievable difficulties in life, yet they still smile, they still stay in good spirits, and it's just amazing to see these people get on with their lives. And I think it's very important to think about people in these situations that are worse off than you when you're in hard times and when you're in good times, because you need a constant reminder that there are people out there who are going through a lot of difficulties and they're able to stay strong, and you can too. It doesn't mean your struggles are invalid, but looking at these people who are worse off than you can serve as inspiration, and you can learn from them that you too can develop this strength. Like, especially during misfortune, it's very easy to focus in on what's affecting you, and this blinds you to the gratitude you should have around you. Like, I think about how lucky I am health-wise. I'm in my youth, I have family, I have friendships, I have comfort, I have food, I have a bed to sleep on. All these things we have that others might not be so lucky to have, and this is why shukr is so important, because these precious things can be taken away. So in hard times, as much as your mind naturally is occupied with what is affecting it, always, I think, we need to remember to do shukr. Anyways guys, I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll see you again in the next one.